Before I start this video, just a general casual note of caution that nothing is really to be kind of like misunderstood or joked around with. And as we approach life like that, eventually life could reflect different things. Different things could have their own reflections. Different things could have their own way in which they mirror things. And respectively, the moon technology is something that is mirroring the emotions and the byproducts of just sentient beings, human beings, primarily, predominantly, but not just human beings, life itself having some type of byproduct and offspring of just water energies, the water body, 70% water, that 70% water being the encasement of the other elements in their own fine tunings, and then the earth being, the minor micro substrata of the finished product of the human, because the human has been created by the godheads, and the godheads themselves are misperceived, and they most respectively have their own dualities, etc. And we will come to like find how they put the orbit together of the moon and the sun per this nearby regional solar system for what it is, and the moon just being a nearby orbital mechanism. I say nearby because the moon's orbit is smaller in, circumference relative to the outer planets, because the moon is closer to the earth, and as the moon is closer to the earth, it's just a technology mechanism instrument that harnesses and reflects the emotions of sentient beings. And as that moon technology is doing its thing, it's in its orbit of how it needs to take its own course upon how that, energy needs to be distributed per just the general vicinity of the solar system, and how that energy is being deposited, and it's being inputted and receptive to the constellations that it's in and all the other planets that are affecting the moon technology, because the moon is ultimately affected by the space that it's in, the quote unquote zodiac sign, the planets that are around it, whatever space they're in. There's an aspect that's making the moon for what it is. We're feeling that energy. The water body is kind of there, mutable water, cardinal water, and fixed water. So mutable water, we're changing through time, with the changing of times within just the feminine to masculine self, human beings, mutable. Cardinal water, some type of staple initiatory nexus where that water is coming about from the dream world to the material world. And then fixed water, the stationary things that are just primarily water that are created from all the other things, the fixed signs being influenced by mutable and cardinal for them to be molded how they will be molded. And the battery's kind of like doing things. So I'm at a certain percent, so I have to make this quick. I was gonna actually flow a little longer, but I guess not. Or maybe I'll hold it like that. There it is. So I'm gonna trust that the battery's charging. So the moon being in Saturn, it's in such a region where it started from the new moon, moving with basic survival, Libra type of stuff. And then if you're a female Libra, you could be attracting and exalting principles of helping males, just kind of like be securely able to survive and reap the benefits and the rewards of that, because the females are more receptive and pulling to energies, and the masculines are kind of like the quote unquote hunters, gatherers, and explorers, general masculine stuff. And that's not to say that feminine can't be exalt masculine principles. So with Venus being in Scorpio, Venus is like the baby butterfly. Venus is like the youth energy. Venus is like the growing up, micro reflection of Lilith, respectively. But not in just like a literal sense, in more of like, a deep esoteric sense. So Venus is kind of like the entry level to just the general industry of just like, kids in general coming up just to see what life is all about. Venus and Scorpio, and like people could be feeling all types of different ways. Nervousness, perhaps, quote unquote awkwardness, end quote, perhaps, quote unquote discomfort, because Venus is in Scorpio. So that entry level youth is going in such a industry where it could be kind of like quote unquote just radical, end quote. Scorpio energy is radical, end quote. And the sun in Scorpio, sun in Libra, sun in wherever, it's how we're reacting to what is being pushed to the surface and what the collective flashlight is focusing on in the surface. And as we're like seeing, as the light is cast upon something, we're ultimately going towards that space, and we're acting towards where we're seeing in the light. So the sun is that. The sun is ultimately moving all the other planets in the orbits to arrange it how it'll arrange, and the moon is encapsulating all of that. And Venus, so like this basic mini reading is about Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, and the moon. And the moon kind of just being in its own moon technology course, where it's relating to like going from Libra to Aries in this new moon cycle. And the moon within its orbit and its track record in space positioning, it's in Cap right now. So it's kind of like seeing like Cap could have certain gates of itself where it could focus on the root chakra. So our emotional water body, we could be focusing on just getting down to earth, being real with where we're at. And Capricorn kind of like building against the weather conditions, taking care of the tribe, and just seeing how like we could survive on a deeper esoteric level. And there was a different note I wanted to bring up with Cap as well, because it's like it's surviving at the start of winter, right? So if it's surviving at the start of winter, it's like ultimately shielding away from just miscellaneous energies. So the moon, we're feeling that Cap season, we're feeling this Libra, Scorp, Sag, Cap cycle, as the next 4 months will be what they will be. Time is inevitably pushing us to the future. And as time is inevitably pushing us to the future, all these different energies and aspects, they're getting us prepared for how there's no choice and how we have to act to what we see. We're in some type of Sun and Libra constellation. And the different intermixing depository energies of how they all have a cross-reference interplay between it all, because they're all there upholding their own particular mechanism. Saturn and Pisces, Jupiter and Gemini, Venus and Scorpio. So they're all there in a certain sanction. So as they're all there in a certain sanction, Jupiter is kind of like that rivalry energy. So since Jupiter is that rivalry energy, it's that rival, because Jupiter and Neptune, that's Pisces. There's two rulers in Pisces. So there's some type of just general rivalry with, the creation of like the Pisces constellation energies. So within Jupiter being in Gemini, that rival competition Olympic energy is in masculine Mercury Gemini. And masculine Mercury Gemini, it could be like, in its own balance or not balance. It could be like there could be benefits and not benefits there of such a way where like masculine Mercury is actually doing his own energies to bring things together how it will. And Jupiter's expansive focus is highlighting how masculine Mercury, no choice, the planets are doing what they're doing within their own agendas. Jupiter is having natural expansion and rivalry, and masculine Mercury gathers things together, information, all like the four elements. Information, creativity, maturity, water being the maturation, and then earth, some type of fine tuning. So Mercury's doing that how it will. So even if you're a Gemini, you're just kind of responding to masculine Mercury. You could more or less be masculine Mercury, but not necessarily. You're just like under that division. I'm a Sun in Libra. I'm not necessarily Venus, but I'm under that division in an esoteric way where I'm responding to 2%. I'm responding to those kind of energies. So within that being said, I guess I gotta like conclude this video somehow. Let me see, the fucking battery's crazy. All right, so I guess that's it, huh? 2%. So Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn, and Venus is like kind of like Venus is in Scorpio, so that sacral chakra, it's new, it's entry level to this Scorpio dynamic. And Venus and the Sun, they're having their own deposit, intermix, exchange of energies. So it's very Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius like energies, and Pisces. So this whole next 6 months, it's lit. Thank you very much. 1%. And I'm going to make a part 2.